I want to talk about the time I almost died. Now, I say almost because it was a very wild time. Um, I can't recall, honestly, a lot of it. I was having like a lot of just random medical issues at the time, and I think it's a pretty funny story looking back. Uh, anyway, basically about 2 years ago, 2024, but it was an ongoing issue. But 2024 is when it like started really hitting. Basically in 2024, I got an infection in my saliva glands, which, if you don't know, is right below your chin, like where your neck is. So I was already really bad. It was already really hard to breathe, and it was a really bad infection to the point where I took probably, I want to say, about 3 weeks off school. Anyway, it's kind of relevant. Basically, I got treated for this infection, but as I was getting treated for it, my heart rate is extremely elevated. That's not normal. I was averaging, I'd been like sitting down, I wasn't anxious in any way, it was just me just being there. My sitting heart rate was 140, which it sounds pretty bad. Luckily nowadays I average between 90 and 100, so it's not as bad. But it's 140 on average, doing nothing, not even like exercise, not walking, just sitting there, 140. So that was already weird. Not only that, my blood pressure, it wasn't bad, but it was once again wonky. I had 150 over 60 or something like that. I was high and low at the same time, which is like, how? Anyway, so I had a couple things wrong. So while they're, giving me the antibiotics and treating me for my saliva glands, they're also now looking into other reasons and other things that could be happening that are elevating my heart rate. So my doctor, he calls me, he's checking in on the saliva glands and all that, and then like once that was like kind of fine and it had gone down, they rechecked my heart rate and everything, and it was still extremely elevated, which means it wasn't the infection. Something else was causing this heart rate. And me, being the joker I am, just concerned out of all hell, thinking of all the jokes I could make where I can't even walk without, having a heart attack. And keep in mind, this was during it wasn't a caffeine deficit, but it was during a time where I wasn't as bad with caffeine as I currently am. I'm still really bad with energy drinks, but that wasn't the issue. Like, I confirmed with my doctor that wasn't the issue. Anyway, so I'm talking with him, and he goes, what was my first test? Hang on, let me find out. Okay, so my first one was a CT scan on my neck, which checked for all my soft tissue and stuff there, just to confirm that there were no blockages, because I was also still struggling to breathe at this point. Even though the swelling had gone down, I didn't look like a chipmunk anymore. It was just, I still just could barely breathe. It was not fun. So I got a CT of the neck. That came back fun. Side story on that, while I'm getting this CT scan, they do the with contrast, and this is 8 in the morning. It was first thing, I got it before school. It was 8 in the morning, and I hadn't eaten, I hadn't drank any water. I just went into the CT scan, not realizing I'd need contrast. And so when they put the contrast in, they did the scan again. I felt kind of wonky. I felt the side effects they said. If you've ever had a contrast CT scan, you can basically feel like you're peeing yourself. You can feel very warm, and a couple of other things. But I was feeling them, but I felt fine. And so I go back to the waiting room. They have to leave the needle in for, I think it was 10 minutes before they can let you go, just to make sure you don't have a reaction to the contrast, because it is shellfish. Like, there are a lot of allergies and allergens in this contrast. I don't have a reaction to any of them. That's not the issue. The issue was I hadn't eaten or drank. So once I got back to the waiting room, I'm sitting there with my mum, and all of a sudden I feel really dizzy, like insanely dizzy. And then I'm gone, passed out. don't know how long I was out for. But I had ended up waking up really bad sweats. They bring me some water. They bring me like those little like sugar biscuits. I'll find a picture of them, put them on screen right now. They brought me some of those, and it's chill. It's fine. I ended up being in the waiting room for about 40-ish minutes. Just because they had to confirm I wasn't gonna pass out again. So I do that, I go to school, I have really bad anxiety at school because I'm like, I've just passed out, and I had like no reaction to it at the time. I thought it was really funny. And then a couple hours later, I'm like, oh crap, I've just passed out. There's a strong period of time I don't know what happened. And it caused like a bit of anxiety, but that was fine. Next I got was a chest x-ray. They're just checking my lungs. There was a little bit of webbing, but it was just from asthma I had as a kid. And also there is a lot of tar in my lungs because both of my parents are heavy smokers indoors. So my breathing was already bad from that. So imagine that, but worse. But that was fine. And then I got a couple more tests. They're irrelevant. They came up with nothing. And then I got what's called an echo. It is basically a scan of your heart, and they do it with the same monitor they use for baby, like checking your baby and stuff when it's still in the womb. And they do that just all across your chest. So I went for that on a Friday. It was, I want to say it was just after the school holidays started, sometime in September. So I went for that. And they check it. I don't know how long they normally go for, but mine went for 45 minutes, I believe. I was in that not in the waiting room, in the examination room as he's checking everything. And I'm with my mum during all of this. It's fine. We then go home. I head over to work later that day, and while I'm setting up at work, because I'm working in a restaurant at this point. It was soon before I quit my bar job. So I'm in the restaurant at the time. I'm setting up the restaurant about 3 p.m.-ish. And I get a call from Queensland X-Ray, who do like all these tests. They do like all the CT scans and X-rays and echoes and stuff, for if you don't go through the hospital. And I'm not going through the hospital because the wait time for that is insane. Now, I'm getting this call, and I'm like, that's weird. Why am I getting a call from Queensland X-Ray? Hello? Hi, we just wanted to confirm a couple things. Are you free to come back? Sure. So I left work. I did end up going back to work that day, but I didn't go back until almost 5 p.m. But I went back, and I'm in the examinator's office this time, but this time his big boss is with him, like the head person for that Queensland X-ray place. Why could the boss be in the room? And it turns out I don't know the exact medical term for it, but I got the test again, and they found a hole in my heart. Now, I don't know if you've ever had a hole in your heart before, but it's not particularly fun. Basically, as you age, the hole is just gonna grow and grow. And it's kind of scary to think about, in all honesty, because it really increases your chance of heart-based diseases and like cardiovascular disease. So I was already prone to that because of my family, but now I'm super prone to it because of this. And it has caused me so many issues in terms of just everything. I can't do long exercises anymore. Just walking now gets me out of breath. I have to take longer breaks at work, and overall it's not fun. Anyway, that was my story of how I almost died, but how it's still affecting me to this day. Anyway, I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you later. Peace.